If you enjoy random short facts about entertaining events in history, you most certainly came across this famous "Did you know" post, which says that during the 1866 Austro-Prussian War, Liechtenstein sided with Austria and went to war with its military, which was 80 men strong. These 80 soldiers saw no action during this conflict, and after it ended, the 80 men returned home with an extra 81st person who was said to be an Italian friend the soldiers made during the war. Hence, Liechtenstein's army arrived home stronger than it departed. This was also the last war Liechtenstein participated in, as it disbanded its army in 1868 and announced permanent neutrality then on. Now, is this story true? Well, if you have seen any of my other well actually videos, you should know by now that oftentimes these things are based in truth but not entirely true. So let's see where this one goes wrong. In the latter half of the 19th century, Liechtenstein was ruled by Johann II, Prince of Liechtenstein. He was a fairly liberal ruler for his time, and in 1862 even issued Liechtenstein's first constitution. However, also during this time, he along with the entire Liechtenstein's upper class had very close ties to the Austrian Empire, meaning when the Austro-Prussian War started in 1866, the Liechtenstein upper class was, let's say, very strongly persuaded to join Austria. This didn't sit all too well with the Liechtenstein people, who with their new constitutional government heavily voiced their concerns like costs of going to war, or the fact that they didn't want to fight against fellow Germans, or simply that no Liechtensteiner really felt like dying in a war would be a pleasant experience, etc. So the prince, being pressured by Austria on one side and by his subjects on the other, had to do some clever political maneuvering. First, he assured the government that he will take on all the costs of the military campaign, except the mobilization. Second, he told his subjects that no Liechtensteiner will have to fight against fellow Germans, as the Liechtenstein army would be sent against the Italians, who were supporting the Prussians in the war. And third, the military was technically under the direct control of the prince, so in the end, under the premise of defending Liechtenstein against the plausible invading Italian army, he went around the Liechtenstein's government and sent the Liechtenstein military to guard the Tyrol mountain passes with the Austrian Tyrol infantry regiments. This way, Liechtenstein was practically helping out Austria, making them happy, but at the same time, as stated before, the premise of Liechtenstein's military action was officially defensive, meaning they technically never declared any war, making the Liechtenstein happy. At least, somewhat. This combined with the fact that over the course of the 6 weeks from the Liechtenstein's army departure in July to the end of the war in September, the Liechtenstein army never actively fought anyone, means that, as you can see on this map, Liechtenstein is officially considered as being neutral during the war. It was never even mentioned in the peace treaty because, despite their support of Austria, Liechtenstein was never considered by Prussia as being at war with them. So, was the 1866 Austro-Prussian War the last war Liechtenstein was in? Officially, no, but technically, yes, I guess? Okay, but what of the soldiers? Were there truly just 80 soldiers that guarded the Tyrol Pass? Well, the Liechtenstein military at the time had 82 men and 18 in reserve. However, according to this one source, 2 men stayed behind to guard the barracks in Vaduz Castle. Plus, considering that the reserves most likely wouldn't go to Tyrol, means that actually just 80 men participated in the war, so that part is correct. Lastly, did the Liechtenstein soldiers actually come back with an Italian friend? Well, considering they went to Tyrol to defend against the Italians, it would be very unlikely, and in fact, it didn't happen. However, that's not to say the soldiers didn't come back with an extra person. They did. A lieutenant of the Kaiserjäger, an Austrian Tyrol infantry regiment, accompanied the Liechtenstein soldiers home as a military liaison, which would make sense because, as mentioned before, the Liechtenstein's army cooperated with the Tyrol infantry regiment during the war. Whether this Austrian lieutenant was their friend, I would like to think so, but he most likely returned back home to Austria after all was said and done. Also, the state administrator, Karl Haus von Hausen, and the advisor to the state and the prince, Clemens Graf von Westphalen, met up with the army on the Liechtenstein border and entered Liechtenstein with them, so technically the Liechtenstein army returned with 3 extra men. However, these 2 were Liechtensteiners, or at least people who worked for Liechtenstein just doing their job, so I wouldn't really count it. In the end, Liechtenstein participated in the Austro-Prussian War. Kind of. It had a military of 80 men. Kind of. It returned with an extra friend. Kind of. And 2 years after, in 1868, it disbanded its army and declared permanent neutrality henceforth. So the Austro-Prussian War was the last Liechtenstein war. Kind of. And that is the true story of what happened with the Liechtenstein military in 1866. I would like to give a shout out to the Liechtenstein State Library and their amazing online archives. Without it, this video wouldn't be possible. They are such a small country and their online archives are better than most countries. And if you want to see more history videos on here, subscribe, click the bell icon, and stick around for history.